So tomorrow I plan on going and cutting some wood with a buddy at his farm. And before I can go and do that, I've got to work on some of my chainsaws. Today, I've got a couple chainsaws to work on. And the first one's this Husqvarna 350. So the issue that I'm having with this chainsaw is the bar got pinched when I was cutting some wood. And in the process of pulling it out, the throttle got stuck in the on position. So the chain spins constantly. And I'll start it up for you here in a second. There's no throttle response at all. When I go and hit the throttle, nothing happens to the chain. It doesn't stop the spin. It doesn't increase the spin. The chain brake will stop it. But as soon as you remove the chain brake, the chain will start spinning again. And if your chain is constantly spinning, you want to be careful, because if you put the chain brake on while the chain is spinning, and it's not when it's intended to stop the saw from hitting you, you can wear out your clutch very quickly. It'll burn up your clutch. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what the saw is doing, and then I'm going to go and show you what the issue is and how I go about fixing it for this saw. So to start, I'm going to start the saw up. So just in that quick demonstration, you can see that the saw is constantly spinning. It's spinning at full throttle. And when I hit the chain brake, you can still hear the motor revving up at full speed. It stops the chain, but as soon as I release it, the chain starts spinning again. So the issue is right here. The throttle is actually detached from the handle where it goes in and is being pressed on constantly. So the saw will rev at full throttle because the throttle is 100% engaged. So to go about changing this, I got to remove these 3 screws on the top. So here's a little better look at what's going on. The throttle cable is actually stuck in the full on position. It should be in this little square right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of manipulate the saw a little bit and pop that back in its hole. Okay, now the throttle is back in its hole, and when I press the trigger, you can see that the throttle will move back and forth as it is now engaged properly. So I'm going to start the saw up again, show you how it works a little bit better right after I get this cover put back on. So now that the top cover is back on, I'm going to start the saw up again and show you how that it's now fixed. So I didn't hit the trigger there. just because it's on a bench top and I'm trying to be as safe as possible, having just let the saw full rev, but the chain no longer spins when the saw is just running. So there we go. That's saw number one. One little tip before I go, with the 350, always make sure that your chain brake is disengaged before you pull your side cover. If the chain brake is engaged and you pull your side cover, you have to then figure out how to get the chain brake to disengage, as these two components are not attached. So on to the saw number two. So saw number two is actually not one of my own. It is a Stihl MS440. This saw belongs to one of my uncles. And what I'm going to do today is I am actually going to install one of these scrunch holders on the saw for him. So to do that, all I've got to do is take one of my scrunches that has the star bit. There's two bolts right here. And then there are two bolts down here on the bottom of the saw. So now that those two bolts are, or those four bolts are removed, I should be able to fairly easily pop this handlebar off of the saw. And then to put the scrunch on, I've since come up with an oil can. As an easy way to put some oil on the inside of this. As it makes it a lot easier to just slide on up. So as simple as 1, 2, 3. The saw now has a scrunch holder put on it, as a rescue Stihl 444 would have had. Come grab the saw, slide this into place from the back. Replace my screws. Now I'm not tightening these all the way up, I'm just putting them partially in, so that way when I flip the saw down, those are held in place. One thing that I've learned is you always want to have all of your screws started before you tighten anything all the way down.
Now, bottom two are tightened. I'll come back and tighten these ones up all the way.
And insert my uncle's scrunch into the holder. And just like that, he now has a scrunch holder on his saw, and he doesn't have to worry about losing it. So that is saw number 2 complete. Saw number 3 is another Stihl. This one is a Stihl 048 AVE. So this again is not one of my saws, but is actually again my uncle's saw. I don't know if that's a chain break or just a chain guard. But on this saw, he doesn't have a bar for it that he keeps on it. He pulls the one off the 440. But when I'm running it tomorrow, I want to have a bar on it and some chain. So what I'm going to do is, if I could figure out righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, is I'm going to pop off these bar studs, bar nuts. And I'm going to put a bar and chain on it. So this should be a 0.3. This should be a 3002 bar mount. Or no, 3003. 3002 is the large Stihl bar mount. That's right. Sorry, this is a 3003 bar mount. The tensioning screw is actually on the front of this saw.
Maybe go a little bit farther back.
Well, let's see, let's take the tension out of the chain. And right there, she's tensioned all the way. All the tension's out of the chain. So it is a 3003 mount, but either the bar studs are worn out or something, because it did not want to go on to that very easily. But now the 048 is ready for some service tomorrow. She's got a 25-inch bar and chain on her. So on to saw number 4. So saw number 4 is my Husqvarna 395. So there's actually nothing wrong with the saw itself, but with the chain on the saw. The chain is not attached to anything, but it doesn't want to spin freely, even with the chain guard disengaged, or the chain brake disengaged. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the bar and chain off the saw, and I'm going to show you what is wrong. The only problem with the wrap handle on this one is that it does not like the bar and chain to come off. And if I knew my left from my right again, Okay, now that the saw is out of the way, I'm left with my chain, and the chain is the culprit. So on this chain there is a bad spot, and I need to find the bad spot on the chain. I just had it. Here it is. So the bad spot on the chain, a cutter actually broke off, and then on the drive links down below, let's get a better angle. On the drive links down below on the saw, they are all kind of rounded and damaged. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace the damaged and broken links. How this occurred is the bar was buried in a tree and the chain spun off the bar. Other than that, I'm not entirely sure. So to fix a broken chain, I am going to use a piece of hard steel like this, and then a chain brake. So a chain brake is a simple tool. It's a punch with a nozzle with a tip on it, and you've got this block with holes cut out. So you can do 1/4 inch, 325, 3/8, 404, and whatever 18H is. I'm not sure. So I'm going to set this here, and I'm going to break the chain here. Now the reason why I have it on a hard surface, like this piece of steel, is so that way when I have it on wood, it vibrates up and down a little bit. So I've got my punch, I center it, punch it down. Now I'm going to have to break the one next to it. But it breaks the rivets apart very nice and easily. So now I'm going to come down to the other part of the chain and figure out where it's no longer broken or damaged. So I'm going to break it here. Actually, I'm going to break it here. So that's all junk, but this piece of chain was damaged, and now I can go about fixing the chain. So there's a specific set number of drivers, and drivers are these triangular pieces that are on the bottom of the chain. So when the chain's sitting in the rail, you don't see them. They ride in the rail of the bar. And so what I need to do is I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I removed 8 drivers. And so that means that I need to put 8 drivers back in. So I made this chain myself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some more chain from this reel, and I'm going to count off 8 drivers. And to make it more even, I'm actually going to count off 10. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Is that right? I'm actually only going to break 9. So let's make sure. 3, 6, 9. And the reason I'm breaking 9 instead of 8 is I'm going to break off the other end because it has a cutter on it and I want to have a space actually. Because this is a skip tooth chain and I want to keep the skip. Okay, so now that that's done, I can put my reel of chain back away. And I've been putting the cardboard back on it. I lost my rubber band. Oh well, here it is. I've been putting the cardboard back on it just to help protect the chain. The chain is not exactly what I would call cheap. A full reel of chain at the dealership runs about $700 or so. But I prefer to make my chain for the bigger bars as opposed to trying to guess and buy. So I'm going to break this one more time. To take off this cutter. One more. So now I have 8 cutters, or 8 drive links, to replace the 8 drive links that I had before. So, to put everything together, when you buy a reel of chain, you get tie straps. So what you do is you make sure to orientate them the right way and make sure that you're putting your cutters on the right way so that way everything's going the same direction, and it is. You put the top part of the tie strap on, and then you take a ball peen hammer and you peen over the top of the chain. This is honestly too big of a ball peen hammer for this, but I cannot find my 16-ounce hammer. But you just kind of want to tap around the outside. You don't want to hit the center of the tie strap, as that does create an issue of potentially damaging the part inside the tie strap. But you just keep on tapping around. The outside. And I'm going to start on the other one. And when you're done, the chain's going to be put together. stay together. So when all's said and done, you want to make sure that you still have movement, just like the rest of the chain. I'll have to peen those over a little bit more, but I'll do that once the chain's back together. But what you're trying to do is actually go and press the top down and around the outside, or over around, so that way it seals it in place. So now I'm going to grab the second one. Now if you're building a chain, you're only ever going to use one tie strap, but because I'm repairing a broken chain, I need to use two. Keep that tie strap tight. But this one, the peen on the hammer is a little bit too big. So I'm probably going to take it to my shop, or the local shop here, and spin it. But that's how you go about replacing it. You just need the proper tools, which apparently I don't have tonight. So I'm gonna let you guys go, and I'll finish this a little bit later. So have a good night. Let's see. Well, I'm happy with that. There's no gaps in the chain anymore. They're nice and peened over. I will probably still go clean it up on the spinner, but if I was out in the woods, I'd be able to start cutting again. And these are two tools that I do carry with me out in the woods, as well as a hammer. But like I said, a 16 ounce would be a little bit better. It's got a smaller head on it. The 32 ounce that I have is probably a little bit overkill. But until next time, have a good one.